What is happening, everybody? On today's show, the latest SEC football news from around the conference as a couple of Auburn players hit the transfer portal. Kentucky loses a key player to injury, and Brian Kelly discusses his quarterback battle at LSU. Also, we're going to preview today's Sweet 16 matchup between Arkansas and Gonzaga with our buddy John Nabors, host of Locked On Razorbacks. We'll also give a shout out to the Texas A&M Aggies advancing in the NIT, and we'll get you some betting advice from BetOnline.net's Dave Mason. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what is happening, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On SEC is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube now. So if you want to watch the video version of the show, you can do that as well. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Intercepted.
Makes the handoff.
What a catch.
Around the conference.
We start over at Auburn as they've got a quarterback competition going on this spring with Texas A&M transfer Zach Calzada in, and of course TJ Finley, who came in from LSU last year. But Calzada's been a little bit banged up. However, Dematrious Davis, former four-star Auburn signee, last year's recruiting class, Wednesday afternoon, he took to Twitter to reveal he is entering the transfer portal, calling out any college football coach who believed in him to come and get him. Davis was listed as the third quarterback on the depth chart last year behind both Bo Nix and TJ Finley. Did not receive any playing time. He was the number 24 quarterback in the class of 2021 and the number 35 overall recruit from the state of Texas. After one season at Auburn, Ro Torrance, he is looking to hit the transfer portal. He shared the news on his Twitter account. He's a former JUCO standout, transferred to Auburn ahead of last season, a Bessemer, Alabama native, played at Hutchinson Community College in Kansas before joining the Tigers. Played in 10 games this past season, recording 5 tackles, a pass breakup, and a forced fumble. So 2 guys from Auburn, Ro Torrance and Dematrious Davis, hitting the transfer portal. Meanwhile, over at LSU, Brian Kelly, we know he managed to keep quarterback Myles Brennan in Baton Rouge after he had entered the transfer portal. Kelly went out and also pulled Arizona State quarterback Jayden Daniels in from the transfer portal. During his press conference on Wednesday, speaking with the media, Brian Kelly said the starting quarterback spot is wide open. And he said, look, nobody has a starting position right now. Go earn it. Asked about his message to Myles Brennan after bringing in Jayden Daniels, he said, look, he's worked hard. He's changed his body. He's healthy. He's an outstanding quarterback. Why can't it be him? Same thing goes for Nussmeier and Jayden Daniels. So LSU's quarterback battle, got Garrett Nussmeier in there. Got Walker Howard, the true freshman. You got Myles Brennan. You got Jayden Daniels. It is a wide-open competition, according to Brian Kelly. We will see who will get that start week 1 against Florida State down in New Orleans. Many months to prepare for that. But, man, you have to think Jayden Daniels did not come in to sit behind Myles Brennan. And Myles Brennan's going, hey, I didn't come back to LSU to play second fiddle to anybody. So this is going to be a very interesting battle down at LSU. Meanwhile, Kentucky, they're getting some key players back on their defense this offseason. Jaquez Jones, DeAndre Square, Jordan Wright, really good linebacking core. But on Tuesday, a report came out that Vito Tisdale, defensive back in the Kentucky secondary, tore his ACL and meniscus and will miss the entire 2022 season. That's from a report at Kentucky Sports Radio. Tisdale was expected to have a larger role in the Kentucky defense this year. 2 years with the Cats, he's appeared in 14 games, recorded 39 tackles, 1 sack, and a pass breakup. So big loss there for the Wildcats. Kirby Smart on Tuesday shared the decision for Stetson Bennett to return to Georgia. Said it came down to a couple of conversations in passing and learning what Stetson's goals were moving forward. He said he reached out a couple times, said he really wanted to come back, wanted to continue to get better. There wasn't a lot there. There wasn't a lot of questions or things. It was more like he feels like he's grown as a quarterback. We showed a lot of confidence in Stetson. If you didn't notice, he answered that with the way he played. I think he'd be the first to tell you he can still grow and get better. We have high expectations for Stetson, but we also have high standards for what we expect Stetson to do in terms of leading our offense, going to class, doing all the right things, and we're still challenging him to do all of those things. So, look, can Stetson Bennett get better this year? Absolutely. A lot of eyes going to be on Georgia as they expect to be a national championship contender once again. Meanwhile, over at Missouri, they wrapped up their spring practice session this past week, and players kind of figuring out where they stand now on the depth chart. So it was no surprise. Second-year DB Snoop Reeves took to Twitter to reveal he is entering the transfer portal. He didn't record any stats as a true freshman last year. He was a 3-star member of Mizzou's 2021 recruiting class. In SEC Hoops news, shout out to the Texas A&M Aggies. They are still upset over not making the NCAA tournament, and they have taken their frustrations out over in the NIT. Last night they beat Wake Forest 67-52. Quentin Jackson and Wade Taylor each had 12 points apiece. Aggies led 32-15 at halftime, played some outstanding defense. They will now advance to the NIT semifinals next Tuesday up in New York at Madison Square Garden. LSU basketball, we know that they have made a hire in Matt McMahon, and they introduced him yesterday in a press conference, replacing Will Wade, who they just fired. Matt McMahon asked, why'd you choose LSU? He said, look, it's one of the great brands in all of sports, LSU. This is the SEC. We've built a program with elite players, and we're going to continue to do that at LSU. I'm excited to move the program forward. We're going to build with great players and great people. So Matt McMahon coming over from Murray State, taking over at LSU. Meanwhile, Mike White, the new men's basketball coach at Georgia, leaving from Florida, but keeping some guys on his staff. According to Jeff Goodman of Stadium, Mike White hiring his former Florida assistant Eric Pastrana at Georgia. It's pretty good recruiting news because on Tuesday, 5-star forward Malik Renault decommitted from Florida, and he was Pastrana was his lead recruiter, so he will be joining the Georgia staff. Meanwhile, over at South Carolina, guard Eric Stevenson, he is entering the transfer portal. He's a guy who's bounced around, played his first 2 seasons of his career at Wichita State before transferring to Washington, then transferred to South Carolina this past season to play for Frank Martin. So he is on the move once again. And speaking of Frank Martin, he may be getting the UMass job. Pete Thamel shared on Wednesday that Frank Martin met with UMass officials, expected to meet with them again today. So we'll see if Frank Martin gets the UMass job. Lastly, Vanderbilt. Tough years in recent years in, well, basically non-baseball sports, basketball, football, and everything else. But the school trying to revamp their image. They revealed a new logo. Commodores have changed up their logo with a more classic V. According to the release, Vanderbilt last updated their logos and seals back in 2003. Let's see if it works for them. And there you have it. That is around the conference. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. When we come back, we're going to catch up with John Nabors. He is going to preview Arkansas, the lone SEC team still in the tournament against Gonzaga. Can the Razorbacks pull it off? We'll talk about that in just a sec. All right, so your bracket is busted. You and everybody else out there. But don't worry, we believe in second chances, and so do our friends over at Run Your Pool. You can round up your friends, all those guys who picked Baylor, Kentucky, or any other high seed to win it all, and you can start a Sweet 16 pool at runyourpool.com/lockedon. Along with Sweet 16 brackets, Run Your Pool offers squares pools, yes, like the Super Bowl, to keep things interesting every week of the tournament. Brackets bust, but the fun does not have to stop. They have options to edit scoring as well, and they offer more intel to make your picks, all stuff you won't find at the big media bracket sites. If you're looking to expand your horizons, Run Your Pool has games for just about every sport, including the NBA, PGA, MLB, even the Oscars. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Pool because we've run Survivor and bracket contests there this year ourselves. Start your second chance Sweet 16 pool and more at runyourpool.com/lockedon. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon. And of course, if you're looking for something else to get into, Stat Hero offers so many different ways to get in on the action, and you don't have to worry about that bracket you filled out last week that's already busted. Stat Hero, they got single game pick'ems where it pits the star players against each other. It's an amazing hybrid kind of between fantasy and sports gambling. You take control back from those handicappers and start focusing on the players you know best with the gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage. It results in their game is winning 4 times more often because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you are going up against. In addition, their pick'em games also have dozens of lineups you can comb through to take on head-to-head. They simply post sets of players for you to take on with a set of players you choose. Stat Hero is the easiest and fastest way to get your sports action fix. Head on over to their website right now. You can sign up for free at stathero.com/lockedon. Make sure you use our promo code lockedon. That'll get you a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon. Use promo code lockedon for a 100% match. Stathero.com/lockedon. Promo code lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Roll along here, Locked On SEC, and then there was one. The Arkansas Razorbacks, our lone SEC rep in March Madness, and joining us now to talk all about it is our buddy John Nabors, who hosts the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. He is out there in San Francisco. My God, John, like the mileage you've put on your frequent flyer miles. You went from Arkansas up to Buffalo, New York, now out to San Francisco, California. Like, what is going on?
I'm telling you, dude, I don't know how anybody is able to travel at the way that they do with the going from the central time zone up to Buffalo for the Eastern time zone, over to California now for the Pacific time zone, all in a matter of like a week and a half. I think I'm delirious. I think I'm losing it. Like, I don't know what sleep is. I don't know when to sleep. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. So I can't imagine players doing this. But yeah, it's been crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I have some friends who work with the University of Houston, and even they said they came back to Houston for a day, and then they were on a bus out to San Antonio for their Sweet 16 matchup, and it's crazy. And then the tip time for some of these games, depending on what time zone you're in, it's like 10 o'clock at night where teams are just tipping off. So it is crazy. The craziest part to me, John, is that we're talking about one SEC team left standing, and that's the Arkansas Razorbacks. Talk a little bit about this team. Yes, did they have a little bit of advantage of some easier matchups than some other teams? Yes, but talk about what you've seen from this Arkansas team and what Eric Musselman's been able to do with them, and yet another trip to a Sweet 16.
Yeah, man, it's incredible how this team goes back to the Sweet 16, and they didn't beat any huge upsets or anything like that, or any great teams necessarily, but they still got there. Kentucky had St. Peter's and they lost. Tennessee had a real Michigan team that wasn't great but good, and they lost. Auburn had Miami, a 10-seed team, and they lost. So it's like, you're never going to apologize for winning. You're never going to apologize for beating the teams that are in front of you, even if it hasn't looked great. But back to the Sweet 16, the SEC team remaining, and it kind of feels good. You got to be happy about it if you're a Razorback fan, because people were doubting you and doubting your team and chances of making it to the Final Four, even winning a championship, and here you are. You're the only team that makes it to the second weekend, and making it to the second weekend 2 years in a row is extremely impressive. So you got to give credit where credit is due.
How challenging is this task going to be? I mean, I guess it's an understatement going up against Gonzaga, one of the best teams in the country, and they're loaded with talent. Obviously, a kid that people are talking about could be the number one pick in the NBA draft. You also have my guy Timmy, who's been there forever. All the dude does is wear headbands and hit threes and bank in shots and everything else. But how challenging is this task going to be? And does it almost feel like, look, we're almost 10-point underdogs? That's from our friends at BetOnline. Is it almost enough? You got nothing to lose type game?
I think so. I mean, everyone's been discounting Arkansas this entire time. And in fact, even Eric Musselman talked about in his press conference today about, just how the people are not really giving them the credit that maybe they feel like they deserve. And they're fine with that because they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder about it. And they've faced really good teams this year. They faced Auburn, they faced Kentucky, they faced teams that were number one or top five, and so they're not scared of teams like this. Now the matchup's going to be different. It's an experienced NCAA tournament team, and we all know that. And it's not going to be something that you can just say, oh well, yeah, we got just as good of a chance to winning this game as we did the other two games. But I do believe that Arkansas has proven themselves to be able to beat some of the better teams in the country. And I don't think like that will be any different when they decide to take on Gonzaga tomorrow night.
Talk a little bit about Jayden Ote, because, man, he's been so good. I said it all year. He was in my conversation for SEC Player of the Year, but it does feel like when he has great games and he scored 20, 25 points, like Arkansas is winning. And he's had a couple of these games, like in the SEC tournament, where he scores 5 and they lose. I mean, is it as simple to say if JD is getting to the rim and shots are falling, good things are going to happen for Arkansas?
I think so. I mean, it may be a simplistic way of looking at it, but if Jayden Ote is going out there and he's hitting the shots like he did maybe against Kentucky, like he did earlier this year, I think Arkansas is going to win. One thing that happened to Jayden Ote last year against Baylor is that he fouled out with 13 minutes to go in the game, which is never something you want to see. But it's almost like a redemption where he did foul out against New Mexico State as well, and they ended up winning that game too. So he's vital. You got to keep him on the floor. You got to keep him hitting shots, and if he can get confident, it makes the rest of the team confident. And so if he's going out there and he hits the first few shots that he has, and he's really finding ways to get around him and to make some big time plays, I mean, who's to say of how well he can do and how that'll open up other players too, like Stanley Amude or Jalen Williams or something like that, to hit some big shots once they try to make the adjustments on Jayden Ote.
All right, I don't have my bracket up in front of me. Who do they get if they're able to pull off the impossible and beat Gonzaga? Who would be in the Elite Eight?
It would either be Duke or Texas Tech. That's who's facing. That's who's facing off in the other Sweet 16 game. And man, I know that you want to beat Gonzaga, and of course that's the next game in front of you. But man, just thinking about playing Duke and Coach K, and like that would be just an awesome thing if you ended up finding a way to pull that off.
Yeah, I think Jalen Williams just needs to flop and take every charge he can, because, God, I just feel like if Duke gets to the Elite Eight, they're going to get every call impossible because they want Coach K in his finale year to get to the Final Four. It is what it is. Talk a little bit about just your perspective on or prediction for this game. I mean, is this a game you personally feel like if things go their way, Arkansas, yes, they can win this game and pull off the upset?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I know Gonzaga is a good team, but they've been beat before this year. In fact, Alabama beat them. A team in the SEC that was a 60, they beat them. St. Mary's beat them. Like they are a beatable team, and I don't see why Arkansas is not capable of it, especially when Eric Musselman has a lot of time. In fact, from what I remember seeing the stat that if Eric Musselman as a coach has had 4 days or more to prepare for a team, he's like 28-1 or something like that. Like he is so good at being able to get teams ready when he has plenty of time to prepare. And, again, this is different because you're going up against the number 1 overall seed in Gonzaga. But, I mean, I think they're perfectly capable. Their defense is good enough to slow them down. I think they're physical enough. It's going to be also, and I know it's kind of a cop-out deal, but it's going to be about how the referees call this game. Because if they call it tight, if they call it to where they don't allow teams to get physical, that's not going to help Arkansas. Because Arkansas, they don't have enough pieces and enough guys where they can get in foul trouble and be okay. But if they let them get a little physical, if they let Dees Toney kind of do his thing against Chet Holmgren and all that, I see there's no reason why Arkansas can't make some big strides and possibly pull off the upset in this one.
Yeah, Toney was like the unsung hero of the New Mexico State game last week. We'll see what impact he can have in this one. Last thing, John Nabors, how expensive is everything out there in San Fran?
Very. Like it's weird. It is so strange, and here when I'm in Arkansas, it's like, you kind of know what you want, you know where to go, but it's like all the restaurants close at like 7:00 here. Everything's a bistro. It's like it's all Asian infused food. Like I just don't know what to make of any of it, but we're going to try to explore tonight a little bit and see if we can venture out at the Chase Center and see if there's any restaurants around, but it's a little pricey, a little different from Arkansas and all that, but it's been nice and the weather's been beautiful. It's a beautiful city and everything. So hopefully get a little chance to explore a little bit more, but so far it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, all the Bama fans I've talked to that went out there for the national championship a few years ago were like, yeah, this is not SEC country at all. And the pricing is the foremost, first and foremost thing to show you're not in the South anymore. John Nabors, host of Locked On Razorbacks. Thanks for jumping on, man. Really appreciate it. And hey, if the Hogs keep this thing going, we'll get you back on. All right.
Hey, sounds good, man. Appreciate it, Gordy.
All right, he is John Nabors. Give him a follow on Twitter at BuzzJohnNabors. And, of course, check him out, Locked On Razorbacks. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit with one of our friends from BetOnline, Dave Mason. We're going to get some picks from him going into the Sweet 16 week, and then get maybe some other betting odds from him as well. BetOnline.net got you covered with tons of different information. We'll talk with him coming up in just a second. But first, need to remind you, Built Bar, this is the time of year where a lot of you guys have given up on your diet or New Year's resolutions, whatever it is. And our friends at Built Bar are trying to make it easier for you. Built Bars, yes, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That is real chocolate. Low in calorie, high in protein. You can replace those candy bars you might be stashing to the side with Built Bars. They are better. Typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. If you go to Built.com, you're going to see all the great specs on all the Built Bars available. 130 calories, 4 grams sugar, 4 grams net carbs, 17 grams of protein packed in there. You can pair that to a candy bar, which usually has double the calories, like quadruple the grams of sugar and everything else. Go check them out. Tons of different flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond, all kinds of new stuff, always available at Built.com. Go to Built.com right now. Use our promo code LOCK15, get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15, get 15% off at Built.com. Roll along here, Locked On SEC. We are getting you guys ready for the resumption of the NCAA tournament. Tons of stuff going on. Of course, the SEC only with one team remaining, but it's all right. We'll go all in on Arkansas and place our bets there. But joining us now to talk a little bit about that and a little bit more on betonline.net, your great resource for anybody looking for betting information out there. We're joined now by Dave Mason from betonline.net. Dave, what's going on, man? Welcome in.
Thanks for having me. Fun time of year. I love March Madness. Action is great. So yeah, fun time of year.
Let's jump into it, Dave, because betonline.net, it's a great resource for anybody looking for betting information. We talk about it all the time. It really is like the ultimate resource for all the information you need when you're looking to bet. Let our listeners know a little bit of what's up on the website, because it's very easy to use and navigate now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All the odds, all the game information you need. If you're betting March Madness, who isn't? You got to get over to BetOnline and check it out. All the numbers, all the key numbers, stats, trends, and most importantly, odds.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to bookmark it and make sure you check it every day, because it is up to the day information that you need. Let's start here, Dave. In the SEC, we're down to, of course, just one team alive in the NCAA tournament. The Arkansas Razorbacks taking on Gonzaga. BetOnline.net has Gonzaga as about a 9.5-point favorite. I get they're a 1 seed, but man, just seems like a lot of points, right?
It does. I mean, the Zags are they've been the favorites since the odds came out last year, and on paper they're the most. I think the rightful number 1 overall seed. I think they're plus 230 to cut down the nets, and Kansas is next at plus 525. So they're a pretty substantial favorite. But Arkansas is a good team. You can't, 9.5 points is a lot of points. It's if SECs get down to one team, as you said. So the odds say they're going to be no teams heading in the Elite Eight, but you never know. I mean, March Madness, you got to get there and play the games. The bettors are betting the Zags. I know that about 67% of the action's on Gonzaga. So yeah, BetOnline will be fans of Arkansas.
I love this time of year because, I mean, man, you get to reset. If you lost weekend 1, hey, man, you can make all that up here in weekend 2. Give me an underdog or two that you might really like going into the second weekend of the tournament.
Wow. Well, Arkansas and the points, that's a lot of points. Without a doubt, it's 9.5 points, and Arkansas is a heck of a team. So that is the underdog that I like the most. I'm a Villanova fan, but I kind of like Michigan plus 5. I'm not going to lie. I just might bet that and it'll be a win-win. If Villanova covers, it's an easy win for my team. If they don't, well then I can make some money on it. Wow, Houston, Arizona is tough. I mean, Houston's a small underdog, plus 1.5. That's probably right there where it should be. Texas Tech, Duke's +1, but I don't like them this weekend. St. Peter's getting 12.5 against Purdue. I think that Cinderella's about to strike midnight on St. Peter's there. I wouldn't touch that. That's the two dogs I like the most, Arkansas and Michigan.
Let me ask you, because the SEC just made a lot of their hires. I mean, it's amazing how quickly they moved on their new head coaching hires. Chris Jans from New Mexico State going to Mississippi State. Matt McMahon going from Murray State. He's now at LSU. Todd Golden, he leaves San Francisco for Florida. It's a lot of the mid-major hires, right? Like a lot of guys who were at the mid-majors all coming to the SEC now. Any of those guys you like that, particularly lost last weekend, but, man, turned it around very quickly and come into the SEC? Any of those coaches that made the jump to the SEC you really like?
I don't know. I really haven't paid too much attention to it, to tell you the truth. I mean, you got to like what Murray State's done. So keep an eye on that. But, it's so early. You got to, when they step up, I mean, they got to get the recruits in, and now with the transfer portal, see what kind of transfers they get in. That'll be I mean, I already see names hitting the transfer portal already. It's just absolutely amazing, and the season's not even done yet, and kids are already transferring. So, got to get those players first and foremost. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I just, it's so funny. A few years ago, the SEC went for big splash hires, right? Like Ben Howland left UCLA for Mississippi State. Tom Crane left Indiana for Georgia. It was like all these big splash hires. But this time around, it's like, all right, let's take a chance on the mid-majors. Like Todd Golden, I know, is a big analytics guy. He's only 36 years old. So going to be interesting to see how it plays out in the SEC moving forward. But you're right. You got to have players, and you got to have guys who, can recruit. Right. It's about the 4-star, 5-star athletes. Talking with Dave Mason, BetOnline.net. Dave, let's switch gears just a little bit. Do you know when you guys are going to have some of the college football content up on the website, maybe some future odds, over-under win totals? Because, man, in the SEC, it feels like we talk football year-round, and there's people out there already talking about Alabama, Georgia repeating and all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the college football championship, those odds have been up. We've had them up, probably a couple months now. Alabama, plus 225 favorite, followed by the defending champion Georgia Bulldogs, a plus 450, then followed by Ohio State 5-1. And then everybody else is double digits. Texas A&M, they're there at 14-1. LSU all the way down to 50-1. So yeah, those odds have been on the site. We also have Heisman Trophy odds are already up. Bryce Young plus 350 favorite, C.J. Stroud plus 450, Caleb Williams plus 500, and then it takes a bit of a dip. As far as the college win totals, they'll be up in probably about a month or two. They'll be up soon. That will be the next thing, is college win totals, and then week 1 odds, and then you get in all the conferences and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, football's so awesome. It's just, even when it's the off season, it's not the off season, especially in the NFL. It's just nonstop. It's just like nonstop content and free agency. You can put odds on that, and then a draft, and then follow it. It's just awesome. All year round, people are betting on football. It's great.
Let me ask you this, because, obviously we have a lot of SEC fans that watch the NFL, because we love to watch some of the former SEC stars go on to the next level. We just saw a big trade made this week. Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins now, teaming up with a couple former Bama stars in Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle. A move like that, like, how much does that move a win total if we're going like total wins for the Dolphins next year?
That move in of itself, not much. I mean, because a half a win is a ton, right? So it can move some juice, though. If their win total is like 8.5 over minus 120, it might go to over minus 125. So a move like that, it will affect the juice. But yeah, I mean, NFL is awesome. Just all these moves are just affecting odds, and odds are going up, they're going down. All the division odds are upside down. It's the AFC West. Russell Wilson, then the Raiders make their moves, and the odds moving all over the place. I mean, when we opened them after the Super Bowl, I believe the Chiefs were minus 200 favorite. Now with all these moves, they're still a favorite, but now they're a plus 150 favorite. So the off season is a lot of fun.
All right, Dave, one last time, remind our listeners, betonline.net. What other great stuff are they going to have up there? Because, look, we got games going on all this weekend in the tournament.
No, absolutely. Get on over to BetOnline, check out all the odds, and you name it, we have odds on it. Everything from the March Madness games already down to Russian ping pong, whatever you want. It's on betonline.net.
Dave, great stuff, man. Good to talk with you. We'll do this again real soon.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Dave Mason from betonline.net. Appreciate him taking some time out and talk a little bit about the tournament. Yeah, he says, look, it might be worth it to put a little scratch on the Arkansas Razorbacks plus that 9.5 against Gonzaga. They may not pull off the upset, but man, that is a large point total. And you got to think, even if the Zags have, say, like a 10-point lead getting late, what happens? We got free throws, missed free throws, Auburn or Arkansas hits a 3, little things like that could tweak how the game plays out. That is going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Remember to go make your second listen. Check out the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Those guys are getting you set for everything you need to know with the NFL Draft coming up just around the corner. And, of course, thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow right here on Locked On SEC.